Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoesReborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Pat, not Picard, Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
Oh my god, what a week it's been. I've got some redonkulously rubbish story to tell. I'm probably going to wait till the shout outs, but you can probably work it out now, so I might as well say now. I should be in the UK right now, and I is not. And the reason I am not in the United Kingdom right now, enjoying time with my family who I haven't seen for about 2 years, is because on the morning of the day I was going to fly, I was going to be flying at 7:15 in the evening from Pawtucket to London Heathrow. No, from Boston to London Heathrow. And I woke up in the morning in absolute agony. Like, I can't even describe the pain. And I know when I explain what it is, people will go, yep, I've had that, and I know what you're talking about. Basically, horrible lower, kind of around the kidney area, giving it away a little bit, kind of pain. And, kind of just I couldn't, honest, it was crazy. So we called an ambulance and they came on the scene, and I went to walk out of the building and couldn't, I was getting dizzy and nearly collapsed and all sorts. It was terrible. The pain was horrendous. And they basically they said, yeah, it sounds like kidney stones, so you're better off going to urgent care, yada, yada, yada. Went to urgent care, had eventually got some pain relief, which took a long time, but it was a long period of time before I actually got some pain relief for the pain I was going through. And just really bad. Ended up having kidney stones. Doctor then said, well, guess what? You can't fly for 2 weeks. So it was just devastating. And so we had to come back. Eventually came back home around about 1 p.m. So this happened really early. So it was a long time I was at urgent care. Finally got home, had to contact the airline. Took 4 hours just to get through to the right person to cancel the flight. And it was about an hour before I had to fly, before I was going to be flying. And if I didn't cancel it before departure, I'd have lost $700 and something bucks. So yeah, thankfully that wasn't the case. And now I'm basically having to try. I haven't passed them yet, so I've still got that fun to come. So I thought, yeah, let's do long periods of recording time, Pat? Let's do that. So yeah, rough couple of days, and yeah, I had to cancel everything.
Have you been able to reschedule?
Not Kate and I are just going out at Christmas, so that wasn't necessarily a reschedule. That was happening anyway. Okay. It just means a shorter period of time in the UK, and because of Kate's job and everything. And then so a bit sad really at the end of the day. I was really excited to see everyone, to see friends. I had a friend of mine, Ryan, who purchased Manchester United tickets in excitement to go and see them play. That was really sad. I was like, oh my god. So that's not happening for me anyway. Ryan will probably still go. And I was going to go to a convention with Nick and In Demand Toys. It was MCM on, I think, the weekend of Hasbro PulseCon. So they had all these really cool things laid out. Obviously, I was seeing my family who I hadn't seen for so long, and all just down the toilet. Well, not down the toilet yet, because I've still got to pee them out. But you know what I mean. So I've still got that fun to come. Oh, rubbish.
Yeah, that's awful. I really feel bad. You'd mentioned that that you were not able to leave, and yeah, I can't stand it whenever plans are changed, even minor plans. I plan to go somewhere on the weekend and you can't, and it's just there's a bit of a disappointment whenever you intend to do something and then you can't. And when it's something big, flying across the ocean.
Yeah.
And visiting family you haven't seen for a couple of years. I feel bad for you.
I appreciate that, bud. It's it's life, I guess. And how are you doing?
Doing okay, I suppose. Not too much has changed here.
I feel like we're both at about 40% at the moment in terms of just like mentally I'm down. Physically, I'm kind of, I'm all right physically. It's just until I'm just I'm waiting for the fun part to begin, and then we can get on with it. But wow, that is a downer of an intro, isn't it, Pat? Let's bring it up with some news chat, shall we?
Yeah, at least there's some fun G.I. Joe stuff this week, right?
Absolutely. And first of all, we have Wizards of the Coast news. A number of job listings have been posted by Wizards of the Coast for their new game development division, Raleigh Durham Studio, for the AAA G.I. Joe console game. The positions include Art Director, Lead Animator, Lead Game Designer, and Technical Director. Seems like a lot of work is still ahead for the future team before we see anything other than the previous concept art regarding this particular G.I. Joe game. We could be a few years from seeing a release based on that information, and hopefully some sort of rough time frame for release will be communicated soon. In addition, a recent interview with Stifel Investment Bank by Wizards of the Coast CEO Chris Cox revealed that Hasbro are aspiring to have a fully fledged in-house digital games division to cater to a demanding video game market, and honestly, I can't believe it's taken them this long. If you're interested in any of the positions mentioned, then check out the links in the description below and get those resumes ready with stories of hours logged on G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra. Pat, what are your thoughts first off on this Wizards of the Coast computer game? Are you excited?
I'm containing concitement. Yes, containing excitement, because it's going to be a while, and I don't know what the format is going to be that much. I don't know. I think that it's smart of them to kind of have it be very different than whatever is currently the G.I. Joe plan or the G.I. Joe theme, because by the time it comes out, we could be on to something entirely different anyway.
I was kind of a little bit concerned when the news came out of when they were talking about the years of development behind it, and I was kind of thinking, that is a long period of time, and things do change quite rapidly in the toy industry. And especially with G.I. Joe, I feel like it's kind of reinvented. It's been reinvented about 3 times since it came back. So, you've got all these different kind of, versions of the same thing, and you wonder, where that cohesion is sometimes. And I think maybe they're probably looking at this to be the driving media behind something that maybe would come out off the back of it. And I think that's probably a good way to go with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that it's also interesting to think about how the lead time for a video game is much longer than it is for creating a toy or a toy line, or creating a theme for a toy line and even changing it. So it makes a lot of sense to me that this would be different, and it's good that they're putting a lot of time into this one, I think, because if video games take a long time to make, then, maybe the fact that they're hurrying through them to match the current G.I. Joe theme could be the reason why Operation Blackout wasn't that complex of a game.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, are you surprised that it's taken Hasbro this long to kind of build towards having an in-house computer game development program? What with all their brands?
Not really, no, because I think that takes a lot of setup. There's a lot of organizational structure that would have to be entailed in that, and hiring the right people. And honestly, the right people quite often are working already at other game studios. So having another game studio make your game has made sense for a long time. I think that it's showing a lot of commitment to create their own, and hopefully, they're hiring some ambitious people who will take that as a huge opportunity, because it is a big opportunity. You will be dealing with some brands that have a lot of recognition, and a game that, to be honest, is going to sell some copies regardless of how good it is.
Yeah.
So it really is an opportunity to do well and to impress some people, because I know me, I was actually kind of thinking about this as far as G.I. Joe games go. I still would love another game that is similar to the old NES game.
Oh, yeah, totally.
The original NES game was so good, and retro gaming has become such a thing that I think that if they came out with a third one, it'd probably be popular.
I'd love to see that on even on like a release of another game, like where say if they brought out this AAA game and then they also included, hey, here's you've got like one of the old games from back in the day that you can kind of play on it as well, like just something like that, because I mean that is so simple as well to kind of include those things. And I know in the past there was a whole I picked up a Street Fighter like anniversary edition a number of years back, and it had every Street Fighter game on it that had been before. So you could just go into like Street Fighter 2 Turbo and just play that to your heart's content, or you could zip on over to Alpha and you could strip on over to like 3. Like it was so cool. Like I was really into that as as an option. And that's something like other than like emulators can give you, where you can kind of play a couple of G.I. Joe games. It's just not easy, is it, to kind of get hold of those kind of games where you kind of think they've got it's their brand, they own it, just stick those little games on it and let us enjoy those little kind of nostalgia bursts as well, because I'd love to play the arcade game too, like, and I've
Right.
That's loads of fun, and I've played it recently and in a couple of arcades. I love that game.
You found actual cabinets for GI Joe?
Twice.
Wow.
One in Up Down in Ohio, and the other one was the other one was in
Up Down in Iowa, right?
Iowa. Sorry, not Ohio. What am I talking about? Yes, Iowa. Thank you, Des Moines, Iowa. Up Down.
I didn't even realize they had one there.
Yeah, we played on it like the last time we were there. Big group of us. It was amazing. It was that, and then it was Street Fight, X-Men that we literally rinsed, and I think Turtles. I played the Turtles game while I was there too. But yeah. So I've come across it a couple of times. The other one I think was actually in I want to say, like, was it Kansas City or St. Louis where you saw Backstreet Boys? Kansas City. That was Kate. So Kate went to see Backstreet Boys in Kansas City, and a friend with a friend, and I went with the friend's husband out into into Kansas City that night while we waited for them to enjoy, to finish the show. They only had 2 tickets. I'd have gone and watched the Backstreet Boys. I want it that way. And and we ended up in a bar, and again they had a G.I. Joe cabinet which I played and enjoyed. So like, yeah, I would love to have that that access to an easy way of accessing the NES games, the SNES games, the arcade games, definitely.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what the rights issues may be, if there are any, for those old games, because even the ones for the original Nintendo weren't from the same company.
Like Atari, Konami, I can't remember the other company that did the NES ones.
Taxan and
Yes.
Konami, I think.
Thank you, Taxan, yes. So they're the only ones I think would be involved, and I don't think it'd be that difficult for them to organise that. It'd probably be like one phone call, an email.
Yeah, that's probably true, hopefully. Yeah, but I would love more of the side scroller, and imagine the characters that they could include.
It'd be amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'd love it. Yeah, okay, well that's we've gone from AAA to vintage like that. We don't mess about, do we? Anyway, next up in EB Games news. On Monday, images began circulating online showing the as-yet unreleased PulseCon exclusive deluxe classified Master of Disguise Zartan. My god, why do I always have to give it the full name? Appearing in EB Games stores in Canada. This raised a few eyebrows at the time, and as it turned out, was a complete accident. According to one of our sources, it was all down to a miscommunication between EB Games and Hasbro, who asked the Canadian version of GameStop to cease selling them immediately. If you were one of the lucky ones to get your hands on an early example of this very awesome figure, then well bloody done. Everyone else will almost certainly have to wait for October 22nd and PulseCon to be able to order one of these beauties. Pat, not the first time we've had controversy over shelf dates and so on, is it?
Not in the least, and Target wasn't even in the story.
Exactly. We pulled that in as well. We went from talking about a AAA computer game to going straight into the vintage, and then we're talking about an on-shelf scenario, and we have to talk about Target, don't we?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I think it's kind of good news for us. It means that these things are out there and on the continent, at least. enough that maybe whenever we order them, it won't take too long. Because I know some of the other Hasbro Pulse stuff that I've ordered recently has actually shipped very quickly. Red Alert, which was the exclusive for Walgreens for Transformers, I ordered that on Pulse and it showed up, I think, 2 weeks later. And then some of the other, there's been a few things that it's been very clear that whenever they put up the pre-orders, that they're already in the United States and then they ship out and they're here in a week. Not everything. But
yeah, that's true. Not everything. We'll talk about shout outs later, but I did finally just get the Baroness and Snake Eyes come in after I don't know how long. I got Storm Shadow first, and then they slowly followed suit afterwards. But yeah, it's I just accept that nowadays. I'm kind of used to that, but with the situation we're in with shipping. But yeah, I must admit, there's been a few times when I've ordered something on Pulse and been super surprised that it turns up a couple of days later. And I'm like, hang on, like I thought this was going to be a next year scenario. But with the Zartan thing, I would say this is probably a little bit more extreme than the Target stuff, because when we were talking about the Target stuff, that was like, hey, it's in stores like a couple of days before the on-shelf date kind of thing, and so people having to wait for that. It's been about a week, I think, at the most, hasn't it, in the past?
Yeah, I think so.
And this is well in advance. Do you know what I mean? Like this is definitely a misstep on both parts, I think.
Yeah, I can see how it happens. Hopefully, whenever it is time to sell them, though, GameStop won't be as hesitant and weird about it as other stores that we've already mentioned.
We've got to talk. I mean, those kind of issues, they do bug the hell out of me. I must admit, though, this Zartan figure looks incredible. I can't wait to get him. Can't wait to test that skin changing effect. Loving all the little other accessories that come with it as well. And that box, the packaging looks outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen from other people's pictures how well the color change feature works. So I'm eager for that. Just, I just want to have fun with it on my own.
Yeah.
I get it. I've seen the pictures and the reviews that it works well. Well, I want it working well in my hands, in my house.
It's so true. I hate it when people are posting all these breaker images and all these Snake Eyes and Timber images, and I'm just here kind of going, I want them so bad. But I will remain patient on that front. Yeah,
I've heard that the breaker's in the area, and I thought, well, I'll just buy one and cancel my pre-order. And I look, and it's they're showing up in other places locally, because people keep making posts, hey, breaker's out there, go get one. And I really just haven't seen them show up as in stock anywhere nearby, not within 50 or 100 miles. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, hopefully we'll start seeing that in a little bit more abundance. But that is effectively, that's the EB Games news and the Canadian error.
I wish that I just had my passport. I could have driven up to Canada and bought one.
I'm actually happy for a lot of the Canadian fans who have, found it difficult at times to kind of keep up with the releases. They're not, as abundant on day one. Especially, they'll kind of get there eventually, but for the most part, they found it really difficult trying to collect this line. So I'm happy.
They still have Toys R Us. I don't feel bad at all for them.
No sympathy then. Screw you guys. Okay, well, anyway, moving on then, and in again some pretty big news in Super 7 news. Earlier in the week, Super 7 posted a close-up image teaser of what is clearly a different light blue reaction Cobra Commander, with the caption, "An intercepted transmission reveals that a couple of G.I. Joe reaction figures are launching at Target Full GEEK-OUT this Sunday, October 3rd. You can also see in the image that the logo is more central on the figure, and he looks to have a black undershirt instead of the light blue on the previous version. We might also be getting another specific figure. I expect it will be another repaint, but we could also be getting something brand new. This is a nice surprise considering it didn't look like we would be getting any G.I. Joe representation for this online event. Links in the description for the Target Full GEEK-OUT website. And in addition to that, Super 7 have also been revealing products for their upcoming spectacular Wish We Were There-a-con. The event has been set up in order to fill in for the fact that the company won't be heading to New York Comic Con next week. So on Tuesday, October the 5th, they'll be doing their own online event via their website instead. We got two brand new officially licensed G.I. Joe products, including a lovely grey Cobra crewneck sweatshirt in a similar style to this one, the camouflage G.I. Joe sweatshirt that I managed to get my filthy mitts on, and man is it soft and comfy. They also revealed a beautiful Defiant Space Vehicle Launch Complex enamel pin with magnetised hinge doors that open to show off the shuttle inside. Both will be available on Tuesday, October the 5th, but first, Pat, what do you think will be joining that repainted Reaction Cobra Commander tomorrow for Target's full geek-out?
Wow, that's a tough question. I would assume that it's going to be a repaint of some kind, and that it's not going to be something as dynamic or crazy as like we can't just keep going back to the Pimp Daddy Destro well.
They might. That's a good shout.
They might. But I think that if it was going to be that probably would have been what was going to be teased in advance. So maybe a recolor of Baroness?
That's what I was thinking. I thought possibly just like a black version of Baroness, but we did discuss this when they first revealed these figures, and we both said that obviously there's sculpting involved on that first Baroness that wouldn't necessarily correlate with a repaint. Do you know what I mean? So maybe we could get like a brand new sculpt Baroness, possibly.
Yeah, but that design of Baroness did appear in the comic book and in the original episodes of the G.I. Joe cartoon. So they could kind of do a comic book and a cartoon Baroness, I think. Now, this Cobra Commander is not a drastic, huge change. No. I don't think. It's something
light blue,
minor.
Some people will be fine. Logo. Yeah.
Some people will be fine just picking which one they want, I think. So Baroness could also be something similar to that. Maybe it won't be a named character. It could be one of the many army builders. They could just do a different one.
Yeah, that's very true, especially if you go in the repaint the kind of direction. Are there any figures you want to see? Are there any figures you think would not only you want to see, but also would make sense within the Reaction line?
I'm trying to think of what all we've already seen.
Quinn, Snake Eyes with no gloves, Scarlet, Cobra Commander, Destro, Baroness, and then the green shirts and the troopers, I think. That's it.
It doesn't have to be anything that actually was in the cartoon or was actually in the comic book. Because if you look to their other lines, like Transformers, which is closely related, obviously the main thing that they're doing is going for a cartoon look of some of those characters. But then they're doing repaints of them that only ever came out in the toy line originally, or even in the Japanese toy line for some of them. So I think that we could be seeing something like a Snake Eyes in black.
Oh, I know what they could do. I bet they do a radioactive version of Snake Eyes.
That would be great. But again, I think I would have teased that first. But that would be cool. I mean, I do want a glow-in-the-dark radioactive Snake Eyes, I think.
Totally. Because we discussed that to like the ends of the earth last time, didn't we? And didn't really kind of transpire. We got that character in both Ultimate form and in Reaction form, but we don't get the radioactive aspect. So yeah, maybe that is a possibility. I had not even, honestly, that only just came to me this second because of that.
Yeah, that's true. That could be it. I think that we'll get that if it's not it. I think that's going to be something that they're going to do eventually.
Yeah, at some point, definitely.
And it would make sense if the other one is G.I. Joe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. One Cobra figure, one G.I. Joe figure, absolutely, yeah.
So this thing is online only? Nobody has to rush out to Target on Sunday, do they?
No, I think it's... I'm not sure if it's online only, but I don't actually know if they're... Well, they'll probably tell us at the time. They'll probably say, like, available in store and on, online orders. I would probably say you're better off trying to, if you want them, you'd be better off trying to get them on Target online. And to be honest, they've kind of improved that a little bit recently, especially with the G.I. Joe stuff. The fact that we had, Breaker and Barbecue online for hours. Barbecue was available for so long afterwards, to the point where I never thought he'd sell out. Breaker was kind of up for a number of hours and then was dropped out and kind of came back and dropped out and came back. So I think they've definitely sorted out a lot of the issues there. And I also don't think the Reaction figures are going to be as popular, should we say? Right. I'm not saying chill out, don't worry about it. I'm saying be on there if you want them and get them when they go up. But I don't think you'll be worried too. I don't think it'd be too difficult getting these personally.
That's good. I think that's accurate, and I hope that I can get it. I think things have improved for Target. I had a little bit of bumps with Transformers with Target recently as well, but things definitely got better, and I'm happy that they fixed things by doing the re-releases of all those classified figures. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that brings us to the end of that particular piece of news. And next up, a bit of news that dropped late last night. Yes, in Pat's favourite segment of the fandom, classified Codewords news. Thanks to 80s Toy Boy on Twitter for this again. 3 more Target-exclusive classified codewords have appeared in Target's internal system: Hyperion, Rhea, and Dione. We know that the Target-exclusive theme is changing next year to Tiger Force and Python Patrol, and we are also aware that Outback, Python Patrol Bat, and Python Patrol Viper are coming out under the current codewords of Lunar, Solar Flare, and Solar Eclipse, which means that these will be brand new characters for the range. Exciting stuff indeed. Each figure will be $22.99, and as of now, we don't know who they might be. Pat, who would you actually like to see in those spots? Because, we've talked about codewords in the past. You hate them. We know you hate them. But let's talk about what characters you'd like to see. Tiger Force, Python Patrol, hit me.
Tiger Force and Python Patrol. I think that we can... obviously, I want a roadblock, but way down the line, I think that we need to...
Sorry. I don't know why I laugh whenever I hear the name Roadblock now. But yeah, let's get another... Let's start, I suppose, what's the word?
We can put a pause on that, and I think it would be good to release Python Patrol Roadblock. Release. Of course, that's what I meant. I meant Python Patrol Roadblock. What were you thinking?
Because then we could get the Tiger Force Roadblock like soon after as well, so we could have 13 Roadblock figures this week.
Right. Yeah, I think that what would make sense for Roadblock would be to wait some amount of time.
Yeah.
That way, by the time that a Tiger Force Roadblock does get released, because I do think it would be good to do it.
Yeah.
There has been some time, and maybe people who had missed the other roadblocks would have their opportunity to get a roadblock, which is a weird thing to say.
Just something to talk about just something I want to mention there quickly, just so it's in my head. Cobra Island lasted for approximately like a year and a half, I think. Maybe, actually, it will be 2 years by the time it comes round to changing to Tiger Force. So in that 2-year time period, you're looking at Tiger Force and Python Patrol figures effectively in a 2-year period. I think with the amount of figures that seem to be getting released in 2022 that we know of so far in 2022, I wouldn't be surprised if we get every single Tiger Force and every single Python Patrol figure that there has been. Do you know what I mean? Like the amount of releases that they could possibly pull out.
That'd be cool. I'd be okay with that. There's a lot of Tiger Force figures, though. There's a lot of them. Are you saying all of them that have been, including any of them after the vintage line?
I think they could do a bloody good job of getting the vintage lineup sorted. So what I'm interested in, actually, the first one out the gate seemingly is going to be Tiger Force Outback, which I'm truly outstand. I love that. I think it's amazing. That isn't even one of the original American vintage Tiger Force figures. So for me, it's funny that they're dropping that one, which is so iconic. Let's face it. I don't think anyone is upset. I don't think anyone that is upset about Outback being involved in that. I don't know why they would be, because he's again a very loved figure, not just his Tiger Force version, but his standard one as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. He seems to be the one that is a Tiger Force fan himself, the way that he's just wearing the t-shirt.
So true. So true. But anyway, give me some... Yeah, so Roadblock we're putting on pause.
Yeah.
Who would you like to see in that in Tiger Force?
Well, Justin's not here, so I'll say Hit and Run. But I would have said Hit and Run anyway, because honestly, that is a great...
We're going to get all of the European ones. I'm happy. I'm down for that, 100%.
Okay, well then we'll do the opposite of what you want, I think. and maybe say Tripwire.
No, I want
Because,
Tripwire.
oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
big
because the
time.
release of Tripwire may actually delay the release of a Lightfoot.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Mine detector. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. I see what you're saying. Maybe they do a Tiger Force Lightfoot just to cover every. No, I don't worry about. I know that Lightfoot is a very unlikely character to get done in
Yeah,
classified form.
he
I
is.
I
Well,
realize that.
well, I don't know that that's true because the attention to new gadgets and things, Lightfoot actually lends himself a little more toward the classified line than Tripwire, and having a mine detector character in there makes
You
sense. I just
you
think that
know
Tripwire is a
though.
more known character.
You know, if they were to do Tripwire, they would upgrade his equipment, and he would
They
have some
would,
sort
yeah.
of like robot kind of scenario. And I think you're right. I think it would remove any likelihood of a Lightfoot figure in the near future. But I'm happy to wait and be patient. Like again, I'm not expecting them to do Lightfoot at any point, but I would love to see Tripwire. Tiger Force Tripwire, I think, he was kind of missed out a little bit in the vintage 4-inch, in the 4-inch modern equivalency. I know we got that kind of black and silver version in the, I think, Rise of Cobra, one of the Rise of Cobra sets. Was it Rise of Cobra?
Of Tripwire?
Yeah.
Well, Tripwire came out a couple times in the 25th. Is that what you mean?
No, Tiger Force.
Oh, Tiger Force Tripwire. No, you're
Yeah,
right. He's one of the two characters that actually was skipped.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we got that kind of like almost like minimal homage in the Rise of Cobra, where it was like that silver and black with the tiger stripes on him. And I think that I would love it if they could rectify something like that by putting him in classified.
That figure originally was going to be just a Tiger Force Tripwire, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was again, like, it's a shame that we never got one. Yeah,
You're
in
right.
the
It is a
4-inch.
shame. I'm kind of surprised that wasn't one of the 13th figures or something that had come along at some point.
He was
Very strange.
pretty. I mean, he was pretty iconic as well as a figure in both versions. Like, he was utilized in the UK as Blades, and then obviously as Tripwire. I think I had Tiger Force Tripwire. He was one of the ones I bought in the US, but he was always like very well known, and especially in the US, a very popular figure. Even though he's a bit soft, isn't he? Like, if you look at the sculpt, there's a lot of softness to that sculpt, but still, I think his character is so good that a lot of people didn't really bother them too much that the figure wasn't like exceptional.
Yeah, I always wanted a removable helmet on him. That was one of the things that even as a kid, I look at Thunder that came with a vehicle and he has the visor and helmet look, and then you look at Tripwire and it's like, well, I like this figure a lot. It's a cool figure, but it would have been neat
Yeah,
if I could remove his helmet.
Tripwire would be wicked. Lifeline. Now,
Yeah.
that could be a great kind of, like the forward-thinking redeco kind of scenario where you bring
Yes.
the redeco out first, and then I think that there's a term for it that I always forget. I think Adam mentioned it. You probably know what it's called as well, where you do a figure with the intention of releasing it further down the line in its standard original deco.
I think I always call it just like a front-loaded repaint is usually what
I think that's what I'm thinking of. I think front-loaded repaint is what I'm thinking of, the term. So thank you, Pat. You were always there to help me in those kind of situations. Yeah, but you're right. That front-loaded repaint is perfect here for Lifeline, because imagine that figure. I mean, the Pursuit of Cobra was just outstanding. So imagine what they could do. You know what I mean? I mean, accessories-wise, how good would that be?
That figure really raised the bar. I think it'd be difficult to actually achieve all of that, but they could do it. Obviously, there's a nice example that exists that they could just look at and upscale it. I think that whenever we are thinking of some of these, there's almost two mindsets, because as you mentioned, there's the front-loaded repaint that you could do.
Yep.
Or there is the repaint and possible retool of existing figures, because the way that the Cobra Island set came out with Roadblock, and he wasn't even
a repaint effect. Well,
right.
I mean, so he was. So there were elements of him, but yeah.
But he came with a lot of new parts, that new head sculpt and the the glasses, that was a lot new. And it worked because you could look at it and realize, oh, the digital sculpt of Roadblock had a beard added and, the bandana added. So it was adapted from it. So it wasn't like a ground up resculpt. I guess it wasn't a ground up sculpt. I kind of wonder if we will see much of that in Tiger Force or Python Patrol. Do you think that'd be the case?
Very possibly. There'd be opportunities, obviously, like with Duke, Flint, 100%. And then I guess the Viper for Python Patrol, but I don't really know. They'd probably. I'm guessing they're just going to repaint that. But you never know. They could do something a bit closer to the vintage. You never know. Like they've been. What looks to me at the moment is if you look at the figures that we've had so far, the evolution of them, we've gone from a very a hint of an homage of the original, going into as it's evolved into what looks like now very close vintage inspired kind of designs. So there's sometimes they'll do something really updated, and then other times it will be very, very close to the original, won't it?
Yeah, I suppose if you released a Duke, they could change his accessories to be more similar to the vintage figure, or to give him that old snow job rifle, that was pretty much everybody's rifle in Sunbow.
I'd love to see that cool. I'd love to see that in Classified. I think they might even change his legs up. I could see them doing different lower legs. I could see them, kind of trying to do something a bit more kind of classically inspired there. Cool. I mean, again, there's so many to you could do here. There's so many different options. I mean, you've got characters like Bazooka. You've got I suppose. Oh, okay, well here's one for you. Wreckage. We've got Firefly.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Yeah,
they could do a different head sculpt to make that a little bit more not heroic, but not as lose some of the scarring and some of the things that make Firefly, and there's that as an option.
Yeah, just use Beachhead's head on Firefly's body. Maybe what they could do while we're talking retools, they could make Wreckage into a more classic Firefly look and tease people and make people want a Firefly repaint of that. I've actually also always thought that it would be interesting to see what Wreckage or Sabretooth, either one.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Well, it was originally called Sabretooth.
You're right.
It was the homage. Yeah.
Yeah.
Either one of those, seeing what they look like in their not Tiger Force colors.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited at the different options. That's
something they could include in Unmasked, couldn't they?
Yeah, big time. Well, Python Patrol. Let's talk about Python Patrol quickly because we know that Crimson Guard is coming next year as well, as in not the Python Patrol one. We know the standard issue Crimson Guard is. So, I mean, to me, that screams that we're going to be getting a Crimson Guard version. Now, my question to you first, before we talk about what characters would be great, is what do you think colour scheme they're going to go with? Do you think they're going to do the black and kind of dark red, kind of later, more uniform style, so everyone could kind of be the same? Or do you think they're going to go vintage and try and recreate some of those, I have to say, beautifully awesome yellow, grey, green kind of concoctions?
I don't think it's going to perfectly match either one of those. I think that we probably will see it more along the lines of vintage, but at the same time, I'm really whenever you look at something like Cobra Commander, the Supreme Snake Cobra Commander.
Yeah.
There's such a level of detail to the paint that is on that figure that I think that if you tried to make Python Patrol with simply the waffle pattern upscaled, I don't know if that's going to work. I would think that in any of those areas where there's the waffle pattern, you're going to see something much more complex,
textured and
textured. Yeah. Otherwise, it's going to look like the vintage. Does that make sense?
100%. I would love to see some sort of really complicated snake skin kind of effect. Yeah, I think that'd be really, really cool. No, I agree with you on that totally. And I think it's not some. This is one of those things where I don't have a clear thing in my head as to what I would want. I look at it and I think, if they did very similar vintage style decos, I'd be all over it. I'd love it. If they did a more uniformed base, everyone on the same kind of black with the kind of dark red or maroon or whatever color you call that crisscross pattern, I'd be all for that as well. Like, I think that would look really sexy, and have them all, like that. Remember one of the last Joe-Con sets, the Marauders versus Slammers Smashers Marauders versus Slaughters Marauders versus Python Patrol. I loved how all of those figures looked, and I know originally those were the decos they came in anyway, but I just loved how they all looked together. I think they look really clean, and the gold on there too. Gold, black, and red is a really nice kind of color combination. So, I definitely could see some really cool, things in doing that to the Viper, to the Crimson Guard, to the and this is the other thing: the Battle Android Troop has never been Pythonized, and we know that's coming. So that's interesting. I wonder how they're going to approach that as well. Like, this is one of those things I don't envy them for, because I don't know what I would do in their place.
Yeah, I think that going with a more complex detail in certain areas is probably the way to go. Like, if you have the Cobra Trooper, just the web gear would have on it some of that crazy deco. Actually, if they can, I don't know. I think that maybe that's would be one of the other limitations, because different plastics can take different kinds of deco and not others.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know what they may need to do. They're probably going to need to change things up. Maybe we shouldn't expect it to be straight up vintage.
Yeah, I think this is one where you have to keep an open mind and just kind of remove any expectations and just see what they kind of come up with, and then make decisions based on it after the fact. Because I cannot see what it's going to. I can't imagine what they're going to do with it, and I think that's more exciting for me in a weird way. But in terms of, give me one character then in Python Patrol you would love to see them do, just the one.
I'm going to go and say either Tethys or Titan or Lapetus. I'm just going to continue the thing of having code words, and you have to figure out what figures it was that I just said.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I'm gonna say that one of them was Televiper. Am I right?
Yeah, sure, Televiper. That'll be one of them. I think that one of them though was Copperhead. Probably, because if you're gonna release Copperhead, the opportunity to get him out as a repaint and
a vehicle,
you probably, I don't know about a vehicle, but he probably would be a repaint of Roadblock. So maybe we would be getting that Python Patrol Roadblock almost.
Amazing. But I'm also going to say, we know that Crocmaster is coming as well, like a standard edition Crocmaster. So there's another Python Patrol option for them, which I could see them doing.
Yeah, that's true, because there was that one that had originally been canceled from Pursuit of Cobra, but was released later. That was kind of Python Patrol that would make sense to homage and to update and change it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there's so many, and we could talk about this, till the cows come home, but we don't have the time, unfortunately. Next up, before we get into shout-outs, I got the opportunity to chat with the man behind the Skeletron toy company, and we're going to reveal all of that today in the next segment. And then as soon as we finish with that, we'll come straight back to shout-outs with Pat. So, Pat, I'll see you on the other side, okay, buddy?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay then, joining me now on the episode today is the main man behind a mysterious new toy company that has been posting some amazing stuff in relation to their upcoming Kickstarter campaign. Now, full disclosure, I haven't been entirely truthful in my reporting on this so far, because I've actually been involved as a consultant since day one. Actually, probably since day minus 50. Yes, the company in question is Skeletron, and the product is an awesome, modern updated RoboSkull Mark II. The man behind this venture? None other than a good personal friend of mine, Ben Conway. Ben, how are you doing, my good man?
Hey, Chris! Good to see you, man.
That's on par with Pat Stewart's intro.
That's what made me think of it. I love Pat's intro. It's the best.
It is the best, isn't it? Although I do like Justin's at the moment as well, where he's kind of like.
Oh yeah, Justin's is good.
Yeah, so
but Pat's is better. Sorry, Justin.
Pat's is the classic sitcom trope. I love it so
100%.
much. Anyway, enough of that. We're not here to talk about Pat. We're here to talk about you, and we're here to talk about Skeletron. Now, we've got you for a quick chat today about kind of specifics that we can actually divulge about the project. We'll be going into like a much more detail on a deeper interview in the future, closer to when the Kickstarter drops later this month. But for now, let's get some background on this project, dude. Why the Robo Skull? I mean, what does it mean to you?
What does the Robo Skull mean to me? That's not a quick one for me, Chris.
Deep, isn't it?
That's a deep question.
Just one word answer. That's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think the Robo Skull is the greatest action figure vehicle ever made, in short. And I love it. I've just been completely obsessed with it since the first time I saw it. And seeing it for the first time as an adult, because as an American, I didn't know it existed, unlike you, Chris, who got to enjoy that as a child. But I think the first time I saw it online, and it really kind of recaptured that, oh my God, wow feeling that I had when I was a kid. Like the first time I saw my favorite G.I. Joe on the pegs, Storm Shadow. I remember that moment when I was 5 years old. And when I saw the Robo Skull, it did that. Like my jaw literally dropped. And I just thought it was so incredibly wacky, amazing, and just awesome.
I love that I love that pun you put at the end about your jaw dropping, because obviously there's a nice feature on this particular vehicle, isn't there, which we'll get to in a little while.
Yes, there is.
So, in terms of, I mean, let's talk about quickly as well. I know obviously there's a little bit of history with you and the Robo Skull in that during a JoeCon at one point you brought a rather miraculous Chromo Skull, as I quite happily used to call it. But I mean that was amazing. I mean that's something that obviously again we'll throw some images up. Very kind of almost iconic in its own right within the JoeCon community, especially. What made you want to do that? Because that was amazing.
Well, it was that was Loveland and Loveland JoeCon, and the theme that year was Sky Patrol. So we were all talking about Chrome and thinking about Chrome, and I love Chrome. I think Chrome is beautiful. And so I thought, wow, what if I could combine the beautiful shine of Chrome with the greatest action figure vehicle?
Do you know what would have been a really cool figure to go in as the pilot? Destro. Or like Red Jackal or something. Do you know, something like that where it's like the chrome head and inside a chrome head? It's almost like Skeletron inside a Robo Skull in a sense, wouldn't it? Like, you know.
Yeah, I love it. You're layering it up.
Yeah, that would be sweet. Anyway, I love that thing. I remember seeing that for the first. I think you came to see me. We were going to our rooms, and I think you dragged me to your room. I think you came and grabbed me before I went into mine, and you said, "Come, I've got to show you something. It's amazing. You'll love it. We're revealing it tomorrow. We're going to show it off tomorrow. I want you to come and see it." I'm like, "Okay." Okay, yeah, sure, I'll check it out. You dragged me to the room, and it was the Chrome Robo Skull, and I was just like, "What on earth am I looking at?" And there was a few other guys in there. I think Locke was in there. I think didn't he have his? If my memory serves, I'm
Cyclone.
Sure. Yeah,
all over the place too.
Yeah, and I think he had like it was like a Zoid. I think he built and he brought in.
Oh sure, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Liger or something like that. But anyway. I remember being in that room and the energy and everyone like just being like, "Oh my God, this is freaking amazing." Never in my wildest dreams did I think, just because you'd done that we'd be sitting here talking about a modern upgrade to the Robo Skull. Now, let's talk about that, because obviously that's what we're here for. What made
I'm going to, but I have to mention too, thinking back to what sort of inspired me to do the Chrome Robo Skull.
Yeah.
Kate's 12-inch scale Robo Skull was amazing that she'd come out with prior to that. And of course, I don't have the the talent to sculpt something like that together myself, but I could get something pro. So
oh yeah, that was insane. That's one of the reasons for our current marriage is that 12-inch Robo Skull. So
that makes total sense.
Yeah, that was the fishing line. That was the bait she put on the end of the fishing line on that one. That's also quite insane. And obviously, you know, we're all so intertwined with this vehicle now, so it's nice that we actually got a chance to be consultants on this particular brand. So we really appreciate being involved in it in that way. Let's get into a little bit of history as well, because I want to talk about the first time you approached me with this idea. Because I remember getting a phone call from you. I was in Missouri at the time, and I'm at home. Ben Conway comes up on my phone. I'm like, what's going on here? Why is Ben calling me? Answered it. What did you tell me at that point?
I think I was just like, I've got this crazy idea, Chris, and we're going to make a freaking Roboskull, and are you in? Let's do this. Or something like that.
I remember just being like, this is mad. This is like Doc Brown's calling me. I'm Marty McFly. I'm not getting into that car just yet. I'm tentative. And I remember us talking it through, and I think we were on the phone for a number of hours. I remember eventually just being walking around the garden because, you know, just chatting to you outside. And we were coming up with ideas left, right, and centre of what it could be and what it could look like and the design and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it wasn't. I think initially I was very tentative. I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. But once we started talking about it and your ideas started coming out, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds incredible. And you were like the mad genius that was going to be able to pull it off, you know?
Well, I certainly wasn't the mad genius in total, because what I did was I'm like, we have to do this. And then I pulled in just an amazing, you know, group of talent, like an entire group of the people that I thought would be the best people to really do this thing right. And that was a big thing. You know, even on the front end, Chris, you know, that to me, it was like, this has to be a love letter to the 80s. And to Bob and the amazing design work he's done, and to do it in a way that really respects all of that, but then is also an all new design, right? An all new design that the fans, us big kids, will all really love and say, yeah, we, you know, nailed it, right? So that's a big ask, and one of the first people I contacted, you know, after you was Dave, to say, hey, this is a concept that I'd really like to pursue. What do you think? And
he was probably already ahead of you at that point, wasn't he? He was probably like, yeah, let's do it. Here's everything you're gonna need.
Yeah, and I think he said I was kind of nuts, but I explained the idea and what we wanted to do with it, and he said he was in. So that was awesome. And then he he recommended, I didn't know Alex Wu at the time at all.
Amazing.
So he recommended Alex to help us with concepting and to build the framework of the all new design. And Alex just blew me away. I mean, right out of the gate.
I remember the first
you were there, Chris. We had these concepts.
Yeah, you'd send me stuff through like as it was coming in, and I remember you sent me like the first group of concepts, and straight away it was like, this is like, you can see it building almost. You can almost see it in your mind before you actually saw the final form of it. And it went through a lot of design changes, didn't it? Like I remember initially there was the skull epic that you showed me it was more biological than it was mechanical. And then it was more mechanical than it was biological. And there was this kind of like, this aim to try and kind of get a nice mixture of the two, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, Alex did a really great job of casting a wide net on what the all new design could look like, and then so we just we refined from there, and so it wanted to be all new and fresh, but at the same time didn't want to deviate too far from the kind of the core idea of what we wanted to achieve.
Well, that's something that I think that this new design definitely has a great balance there, because it's not a copy of the original. But how can you not, with a skull in the middle and two wings either side, how can you not be like, have any kind of, visual connection to the original? But I do think there's a significant difference there, and all of the different other flourishes that have been thrown in there. I know we discussed all sorts of different things, and I think there was initially some sort of idea of making it very like spider-like, to make it look kind of like very creepy and very like, you know, like it could walk almost. And that's where those landing talons eventually kind of evolved from, right?
Absolutely. And we still sort of have that, you know, that concept still sort of lives within the final design.
Yeah,
that
totally.
you get the impression that this thing can kind of walk along if it needs to, in order to, you know, maybe go into a cave and ferret out some people that are hiding.
Some Z-Force.
There's no hiding from the Robo-Skull.
No, not anymore. It's terrifying, isn't it? You look at it and it needs to have that. It needs to have that kind of terrifying aspect, like the original does, like that kind of real, like it's a skull and it looks terrifying. But this has got like creepy aspects to it. One thing I will say, I will, if anyone, you know, if I've had any input into this design in any way, shape, or you know what's coming, in any way, shape, or form, it's the mohawk. Now I remember there was a concept came through from Alex early on. I'm not sure if you've got an image of it, and I'm just going to say it anyway. And if we don't have the image of it, then
we'll get you what you need.
We'll see what we can dig out. But I definitely recall a really tall mohawk that he'd done on one of the designs, and I was like, yes, I'm all about that, because it creates space for the figure as well. So you're not just I suppose like you're not relying on the space inside the skull necessarily. You give it that raise it up, and you give it a bit more space to kind of work with inside. And I thought, yeah that's great, because like you can look out then of this window, much like the original, which is more of a dome. It's more of a, you know, it's more of a curvature kind of lid.
Right.
And when I saw that mohawk, I'm like, I am gonna fight tooth and nail to keep that in the design. And even when you sent me what was like the final design, I'm like, guys, I kind of feel like it needs a bit more mohawk. And then everyone's just like, for God's sake, again with the mohawk. But yeah, and I think that is, on the final design, is just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and I think that's, you're right on, Chris. You know, you touched on a couple things there, because it not only has to, you know, function aesthetically, but we had to engineer this thing so that we get, well, maximum play value, and that the figures fit the way that we want them to fit. And so there was a lot of refinement that went on. You know, we haven't really touched on it, but in this conversation, but this is years we've been working on this. It's been a multi-year endeavor. It's ready now, but it was ready when it was ready. And you know, it was so much fun to have, you know, Chris, again, thank you for introducing me to the man himself, Mr. Bob Breakin.
That was an anxious time period, though, wasn't it? Where we were like, we want to send something to Bob. We want to kind of tell him about this, and we want him involved. How is he going to take it? And he was blown away, wasn't he? Like, he's been so active in the, you know, in his consultation.
He's been a huge participant in the entire process, not only for the Robo Skull Mark II, but for other design elements, like when we're looking at the bad guy logos and things like that.
Yes.
So he's been very involved, which is amazing. And to have him be so incredibly proud of the final product, it just means a lot, I think to all of us.
And it lends legitimacy to it as well, doesn't it? Like if you've got the guy that did the original on board, then you know something is going right in that process.
Yeah, and I mean that's what it's all about, is to do this in the right, from the beginning. We were like, we need to do this in the right way.
Yeah.
It has to be, you know, we need the trademarks, we need Bob on board, and we need to make the most kick-ass vehicle, you know, we can possibly make, that fans are going to look at it and say, wow, they really put something together here.
Absolutely.
And I feel we've nailed it on everything. So I really hope the fans agree.
Absolutely. I mean, so speaking of Bob, as another collaborator, there are a number of exciting collaborators on the project. And again, outlined in that amazing hype video you guys dropped the other day. Fantastic work there. It was probably it was about last week now, wasn't it, as we record this? I mean, could you take us through like, you know, those collaborators and what they actually bring to the project? Obviously, we've discussed Dave, we've discussed Bob, Alex as well, obviously with the conceptual design, but there are a few more, aren't there?
So the other big collaborator on our recent video is Marauder. which is just unbelievable to be able to have someone with such an amazing track record of both quality product, successful Kickstarter launches, and just great service.
Yeah.
You know, like just the way they take care of their customers. I have nothing. I've always had nothing but, just deep respect for MJ and everyone over on the Marauder team. They just do an amazing job, and they run a business the way that I like to run a business. And so there was a lot of, so I think that was a fast friendship with MJ to kind of bring this all together and deliver an awesome figure, an awesome pilot that's going to come along.
There we go. That's the crux of it. That's something I don't think to this point has been really discussed, has it? Obviously, a pilot figure is going to come with this. That's amazing. It's Marauder Gunrunners. Scale. Can we quickly discuss, very quickly, the scale of this particular figure from Marauder, but also what the Robo-Skull is actually capable of in terms of scale? Because I think people are going to be very excited about this.
Well, I mean, that's the comments I'm seeing online right now is, great, what scale it is. And people are like, well, it's Marauder, so clearly it's 4-inch scale. And clearly it's going to have to be 4-inch scale. But the Robo-Skull from the very beginning for me is something where I want it to be, Robo-Skull's for everybody, right, Chris?
Yes.
It should exist in all universes and play with all your toys.
Everyone should have a death skull flying from above, raining fire on everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. Which is why from the very beginning, even years ago, before G.I. Joe Classified came out and before the 6-inch figures, took off, we were designing this to hold a 6-inch pilot in addition to, pull that 6-inch seat out, and you could put in 2 4-inch seats. So the whole design of this Robo-Skull is built around trying to do something that, of course, is impossible. Make all the fans, have all the fans be happy. But we're giving it our best effort, and I'm really excited about the way that the Robo-Skull scales for one 6-inch pilot and how that looks, and the way that it looks with 2 4-inch pilots inside. We spent a lot of time to make this Robo-Skull feel right at both scales. And I think once we get into those reveals, people are going to really, really like it. Absolutely.
I mean, that for me that was something that we discussed, wasn't it, early on? And what's funny is I remember I think in that first conversation this came up, we were talking about incorporating all kinds of scales. And obviously the two kind of major ones at the moment are, your 4-inch modern and your 6-inch, which is obviously dominating with Classified and Marvel Legends and Black Series, etc., etc. So you've got like this, this kind of thing where it's like, with 6-inch so prominent currently, you couldn't really, there was no real avoidance of that, was there? So obviously we were almost forced in a sense to go that direction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that we were forced, but we definitely
wanted to, at least.
I mean, we wanted to from the beginning. It only became more and more clear as we were developing this that was the right call.
Yeah.
To have that be one of our priorities, that it be able to accommodate both scales. So it just became increasingly clear that was the right call, and it was fun. It was fun to develop all that and to try to pack it all in. And I think once people see more of what's inside the Robo-Skull, they're going to have a greater appreciation for all the things that we have packed into there, because there's a lot of fun stuff. It's great. And one more person that I have to mention, who isn't on the video, is my right-hand man on this entire project, who is Marco Byrne. And Marco Byrne has been
incredible.
He's been a good friend of mine for years, but he's been a driving force on this entire project. I mean, he's pushed this along and pulled it along, and the amount of talent that's just come out of this man is it's incredible.
What blows my mind is we were right at the beginning of this project. We got some concepts through, and it was like cool. And you mentioned on the off, you said, Mark's just downloading some 3D sculpting software, he's like ZBrush or whatever, and he's going to give it a little shot to see if he can mock up a 3D model of it. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool, that'd be interesting, like straight, he hasn't had any experience of that before.
Right,
Dude,
right.
in about a week, we got this 3D sculpt, and I'm like, hang on, Mark has never done this before. And it seems to be the case. He just kept picking things up as we were going along and bashing out these like ridiculously professional. And I'm like, I hate the guy. He's so like, first off, he's the nicest man you'll ever meet. Secondly, he just, whatever he does, whatever he puts his focus on, is unbelievably talented.
He really is. He's one of those guys that can just pick something up. He's got the knack, and he can just pick something up on any kind of artistic endeavor and just
video editing now as well. Did the hype video, didn't he?
Yeah, and wrote the music, composed the music, put it together.
Jealous.
Yeah, he's a pretty special guy.
He's amazing. Big shout out, Mark. Yeah, great. And that's pretty much, that's the whole team now, isn't it? I think pretty much, other than
I mean, it's not the whole team. There are a lot of people that we pulled in sort of at different stages to help give us some additional boosts. We've got some artists. We've got a lot of artists that we've got on tap to bring out. Yeah, to bring out some additional support and promo stuff. So it's been, which is super fun for me because I love the art that goes along with the toys. That's something that's always been really, really important to me. The Hector Garrido art from when I was a kid on the card backs from G.I. Joe was that. I mean, that's what really sucked me in. And so I just really appreciate the artwork as part of the entire process and part of the entire package. And
people are going to,
so
we're not going to say anything now, but people are going to go absolutely wild. Not only with, let's say some of the other elements that go into toy, making, but like you say, the artwork involved and who's involved in it is going to blow some minds, I think. So obviously that'll be saved until Kickstarter. We can't really, again, you probably can't really give us a date right now, but it will be later on this month. Is there anything?
October, yeah.
I mean, that's coming. It's come around quick. It feels, although I feel like it's come around quick. You feel like it's been far too long in coming.
Yeah, it's time. So we set that we wanted to get this thing launched this year, and turns out there's a lot of other Kickstarters going on right now, and a lot of great Kickstarters. So I know that's in some ways not ideal because there's so many great products, but I hope that every one of them can be successful because there's just it's just astounding how many great companies and great products are coming out right now. I really feel like there's just this golden age for us, the adult collector. It's just an amazing time. There's just so many great products on the market, and it's just a ton of fun.
Well, I mean, yeah, that kind of brings us, I guess, to the end of the chat then, Ben. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting about this amazing vehicle. And obviously, thank you so much for obviously having, myself and Kate's involvement in there too. Like we've loved seeing this project kind of grow. And obviously, just recently, just really enjoyed seeing it being slowly leaked out to people to kind of see and to just be really, I think there's a lot of excitement out there, especially from the kind of the community.
Yeah, I sure hope so, and I hope that people are enjoying. We wanted to have a little bit of mystery going on here at the beginning before we throw everything out. But we're not making people wait long with the Kickstarters just right around the corner here. So thank you for having me on, Chris. It's a pleasure. I love your show. I love this show's energy. I love your energy, and it's the Full Force Fancast has been the show that I watch when I have time to catch up on the news. So this is it's a real treat for me to be able to be on the show. So thank you.
Ben's actually that's my consultant fee right there. That you. No, that's a massive pleasure, mate. And again, good luck with everything, because I suppose I'm quite invested in this myself. So good luck to us, I guess. Good luck to everyone involved. Good luck to all of the collaborators. And like you say, that list of people involved is just remarkable. And it's been a great journey so far. Hopefully the Kickstarter can absolutely blow blow it out the water and we can have an amazing modern Robo-Skull in our hands very soon. That's crazy to think about, isn't it? So crazy.
It's been a long time coming. Let's keep on Robo-Skulling, Chris. We're gonna get there.
Let's do it. Right, I'm gonna spin off back to whoever I'm talking to. I'm gonna be with probably Pat, probably Justin. We're recording this in advance, obviously, so there's the curtain pulled back. Ben, thank you for joining me, mate. And I suppose I know you're dying to do this. Maybe after 3, we do a full force together. How's that sound?
All right.
After 3, 1, 2, 3. Full
force!
Nice. Right, so into shout-outs, and yeah, that was I think my first shout-out. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to shout out Ben Conway for that awesome chat about Skeletron and the Robo-Skull Mark II. All is revealed. Ben Conway is the mastermind behind this, the man that brought us the Chromo Skull. And yeah, a guy that's been involved in the community for a long time now, and someone that you know very well as well, Pat.
Yeah, met him out in Iowa many years ago.
Many moons. What was that, the 80, 86, 87?
Not quite that long ago. Yeah,
2086.
Iowa was new to me, but not new to Ben.
Yeah.
I actually thought Conway was his first name for like the first year that I knew him.
Conway. That would be a really cool first name, actually. But yeah, Ben, again, amazing venture that he's gone on here. And I know I've been like basically lying to everybody when I've reported on it, kind of not, playing dumb here and there. But, having known about this from day -5, it's I'm really happy to see that it's, we've got to this point with it, and just being involved in the process has been amazing. So yeah, I can't wait to see what the Kickstarter kind of, does, and good luck to everyone involved. There's an amazing team behind it. Marauder, Dave Proctor, Alex Wu, obviously. Who else am I missing out?
Bob Breakin.
And yeah, I feel awful that I would do that. But yeah, Bob Breakin, who has been absolutely instrumental in this project as well. So yes, and many others that I can't talk about just yet. But when the Kickstarter comes out, which again, we don't know the date for yet, we are going to be dropping an interview on the day of the Kickstarter dropping. So that interview will take you through everything you need to know about the Kickstarter. So if you want a little bit more information about it, you'll be able to gauge some more from that interview, and we'll be able to reveal a lot more stuff as well that, the Kickstarter campaign will be revealing. So yeah, look out for that. We don't know the date that's going to drop yet, but it will be coming, soon. So keep an eye out for that. Pat, take me through one of yours, please, buddy. Give me your shout outs.
Of course, I'm not going to forget to shout out Philip. He showed me some custom stuff he's working on this week, and I'm excited to see him finish that up. I also wanted to shout out Christopher Sabat, because he just did something really cool. I didn't know who he was, to be honest, because he's a voice actor who has done voices for Funimation, I think, and for a lot of characters that are very beloved by a generation that's just a little bit younger than I am. But very talented voice actor, and I got really excited because they were doing an interview with him in conjunction with the HasLab Victory Saber project. And of course, as soon as I hear voice actor plus the Takara episodes characters of Transformers, I was hoping that he had some news that he was going to be playing one of those characters. And that was fan speculation, even though it was a matter of hours before everything went up. I still thought it was really cool of him to use some of his celebrity power to identify, hey, I really like this project, and I want to get it out to people who may be my fans. And what I'm hoping is still that that connection may have opened some doors or some discussions of getting those episodes a proper dub into English.
Yeah, totally. That's really cool, man. You went in for Victory Saber, did you, for the HasLab project?
I did, and I really hope that it makes its first stretch goal, because that first one kind of feels like it belongs with the toy anyway.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're leaving a piece out if we don't hit this number. is kind of how it feels for that first stretch goal. So I definitely hope that it hits that. I do have the Masterpiece Star Saber,
Same.
but this is Victory Saber, so it includes Victory Leo. I would like a Masterpiece Victory Leo still, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And having them to go along with practically every Generation 1 character now that's been released since, Combiner Wars or before that, they've been doing all these modern incarnations of figures that I've loved. So
cool, man.
Excited for that.
Yeah, so is that all your shout-outs?
You know what? Actually, whenever I was being all jokey and was looking up the code names that I was going to throw in.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can't even remember what names you used. They were great.
I don't remember either. All I know is that I realized that some of the ones that Hasbro seems to be using are satellites of Saturn. And one of them that I didn't use because it would have confused the joke was Phoebe. So shout out to Phoebe.
Oh, shout out to Phoebe, which is definitely a satellite of Saturn. Oh, honey. You get a shout out by accident. She enjoys that. She's been barking throughout. I'm going to leave a couple of the barks in so that you...
She was giving us a shout out.
She was shouting us out, yeah. Anyway, yes. So, yeah, big shout out to Phoebe. Massive shout out to Phoebe. As always, big shout out to all the UK family and the US family and my wonderful wife, Kate. Love you all. It's been really rubbish this week, not being able to come and see you guys. I should have been in the UK. I should have been, seeing them for the first time in, God knows, in 2 years. Well, it would have been less than that, but, it will be 2 years when I do finally see them. So big shout out to everybody. Desperately sorry I couldn't be out there. We'll be there for Christmas, definitely. I'll just wee a kidney stone out in the plane if I have to. Yum. To Brian Sauer, as always, for the new awesome Tiger Force fall graphics, which are just amazing. And beautifully on brand when we think about what we've been talking about today as well. We'll have to get Python Patrol for the next one, won't we? And as I said, I've already mentioned Ben Conway. Thanks for talking everything Skeletron with us. I got my Pinfinity Pins. Pat, do you want to see them? They're really cute.
I'm curious what size they actually are. Oh,
really tiny. Look how tiny they are.
Is that about the same size as the space on a file card? Or tinier?
Tinier, I think. Oh, actually, no. They're a bit bigger than the file card space, I think.
Okay.
I'd have to hold a file card up and see, but I don't have one at hand. But yeah, that could be the case. They could just be the same size as the file card cutouts, which is really adorable. But yes, there you go. There's Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. They're actually a lot of fun, and when you put the Pinfinity app over them, it locks into the actual pin, which you actually have to take out of the package. It will not work through the package, which again, that's actually quite genius on their part, because if you found these in the store, you could easily just get what you want out of them, I guess, like the wallpapers and all that kind of stuff. And you do get really beautiful card art versions of them, and original ones. So you get the original version 2 Snake Eyes and Timber card art on explosion background, and you get the version 1 Storm Shadow, and they're really nice and clean and crisp. They look so good. They look like they've just been ripped straight off the original card. And other than being cleaned, they haven't been enhanced, if you know what I mean. So it's that richness from the original. So I love the little kind of wallpapers you can download for them. You can also get little faction symbols, the G.I. Joe and the Cobra faction symbols, and you get the whole card appears, and you look at the file card, and you can move it around, and you can tap it, and you can tap different kind of. I think if you tap Snake Eyes in the cross cell, that gives you a thing that you can kind of download. It swings around to the front of the card, and you see the figure and and Timber appear. It's really cool and kind of fun. But the pins are really nice too. So yeah, really into these. They're really nice. And
those are numbered, aren't they?
Yes, oddly enough, 002 for Snake Eyes and 004 for Storm Shadow, which means that we're going to be getting more of these, I imagine.
At least 2, I would think. Numbers 1 and 3.
1 and 3, yeah. 1 will be Snake Eyes version 1. I don't know actually, but yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I'm sure Cobra Commander is going to be in there. I'm sure Duke is going to be in there somewhere.
Roadblock. Number 1 and 3.
Amazing. So yeah, got my Pinfinity pins. Thanks, Pinfinity. I told the story last week to Justin about how they sent me this. I put it away. This Mega Man pin set, which is really nice, but it was the wrong thing completely. And they just said, well, keep that. Sorry for messing you around here, and we'll send you some new ones. So thank you so much, Pinfinity. As I mentioned already, Hasbro Pulse finally sent me the movie Baroness and Snake Eyes, so I'm up to date with the movie figures now. All I have to do is wait until 2876 for Akiko and Scarlet to come through. And what has to be the most ridiculous journey for an action figure ever, In Demand Toys sent me 4 months ago, get that, this 3-0 Snake Eyes figure, which is out bloody standing, by the way. It's so cool. Look at that visor, Pat.
Yeah, you showed me a picture when it showed up, and I was really impressed with the texture on the visor as well. It's not just the color that was chosen, the fact that very close up, it kind of has a metal look to it. And there aren't some spots on him that look glossy when they shouldn't look glossy. Everything has a nice finish.
It's brilliant. It's really cool. Even down to this little hidden blade in his gauntlet, which you can kind of see there. Which kind of it doesn't. What the only thing I would say is that you should be able to push that in. That would be really cool if you could hide it inside the gauntlet. But it does. It just sticks on the out, like in that little spot, and then you can take it off. But really nice. The swords are massive as well. Check these swords out. Look at that.
Wow.
It's massive and really cool. I love the new design on these swords. Like very, very basic kind of style, but very, very nice. And yeah, like really, really cool. So beautiful. It took 4 months to get here. And it's been like floating around Jamaica, Queens, Providence. It came to Pawtucket for like a week and didn't get here, and I live in Pawtucket. And then went straight, back out to Jamaica, Queens again. And it's basically just been doing these weird, round the houses type things. Anyway, I contacted Nick, told him, and he said, I'll put a claim in. And he does that. And then a few weeks later, it just appeared out there in the thing. So anyway, the box looked destroyed. Like it looked like someone had sat on it, thrown it about, beaten it, weed on it, beaten it again. And just because Nick packed it really well, I opened it up and it was in perfect condition inside. So thank you, Nick. Got there in the end and really happy with him. So yeah, 3-0 Snake Eyes, absolutely awesome. Can't wait. Well, I was supposed to be picking up Storm Shadow this week as well, but that won't be happening because I'm not in the UK. So he's going to have to send that out to me, and I'm worried that he's going to send it to me and it's going to take 4 months again. Hopefully not. Anyway, that's all my shout outs. Okay, and obviously usually around this time we kind of shout out lots of different things. What I wanted to do this time was something slightly different, to basically state that we are all encompassing, we are all inclusive, and we want everyone that watches the show to enjoy it and to get a lot out of it. So we don't want to kind of have people feel like they're not welcome in any way, shape or form. So that's something that we've worked really hard and tirelessly to do. We're a very positive show, and that includes the shout outs to LGBTQ, to stopping Asian hate, to Black Lives Matter, etc., etc. So we just want everyone, at this stage, we're making those shout outs every week, but we want to make it so that we can just say that we are all inclusive. And, that's something that I think, that's what we want to kind of portray, and we hope we portray as a show. On top of that as well, obviously, our patrons, our listeners, our viewers, thank you so much for all the support. It means so much to us. I've been kind of seeping out some really cool Intel episodes, and we've been getting some cracking feedback. We're going to be looking at increasing the content as well, guys. So we're looking at a couple of different shows that we're going to be including. So this was one of the things I was talking about last week on a kind of reveal basis. I can't really give too much away because we don't really know what it entails as yet. But we're looking at another kind of long form kind of audio podcast, which we're kind of working on at the moment, and also a few more regular, more often kind of bits of content, including a Patreon Q&A live stream that we're going to be doing going forward. So for our Patreons at the SAS and Red Shadow Army level, you'll get the opportunity to chat, ask questions, and so on and so forth in there. So yes, lots of kind of cool stuff to come in the show. Pat, mate, thank you so much for jumping on with me once again. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Oh, it's always fun to be on.
Even when we're down in the dumps, we still managed to get this done. We still managed to pump this out for you guys. That brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Patrick Not Picard Stewart. See you next week, I guess. See you next time. And as always, what do we say after 3, Pat? With energy this time, I hope. 1, 2, 3. Full Force! Exactly. We still managed to do it.
We did, yes.
You apathy, we still managed to do it.
I think it brings you up a little bit. The energy kind of hopefully sticks with you a bit after you need to bring it up for the show, right?
Hopefully it will. Hopefully it'll give me the energy to piss out 2 giant rocks. I'm going to be pissing out Stondar and Rockon. They were their names, weren't they? I recall.
Yeah, they are, yeah.
So yeah, I'll be pissing those
all
out.
the Rock Lords, hopefully not one at a time, though. That'd be too much.
Golden Nugget and Granite and what were the other ones?
Oh, that was a Magmar right there.
That's going to be hot as well.
Yeah.
That's going to be... This is all staying in. That's going to be hot and painful.
That's why they don't want you on the plane. They have that weird toilet, and there'll just be too many stones in it. That's the reason.
Can I, full disclosure, I've got a little, this is all staying in, kind of sieve. It's like a funnel with a little, like, catch kind of filter at the bottom of it that I have to pee in every time in order, because I've got to catch these things. They're like Pokemon. And then they go back to the doctors so that they can kind of test and make sure which kind of kidney stone I have, because they're different versions, and then they can find out a way to prevent it in the future.
Figure out which Rock Lord you have.
Well, we've already worked that out. It's going to be blooming the worst ones. It's going to be the spikiest, hottest ones.
And he'll be in his vehicle, flying in.
Okay, I'm cutting it there. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter at The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.